Wow, this Historia Africana video you sent over about the Ashanti Empire, it's amazing.
Right.
It's got everything. Gold, military strategy, even a queen who stood up to an empire.
It's a great example of how much more there is to African history.
Absolutely. So much more than the basic facts. Okay, let's dive in. The Ashanti were part of the Akan people, right?
Yeah, and their journey's incredible.
They migrated west, maybe even all the way from Egypt.
Can you imagine?
And they were key players in the Wagadu Empire, what we call ancient Ghana.
And that connection to Ouagadougou is essential.
Right. It's like the foundation for their success. Speaking of foundations, their name Asante, it means because of war, right?
Exactly.
How?
It really reflects their origins, resisting the Denkier kingdom. They weren't afraid of a challenge.
Not one bit.
Even the slight name variation Ashanti, it comes from the British trying to write it down.
Oh, interesting.
It shows how their story gets tangled up with colonialism later on.
Foreshadowing. But before we get there, we have to talk about Osei Tutu Mom. What a story. Born after his mother sought spiritual help to conceive,
Yeah, it's almost mythical.
then held hostage as a child, escapes, and comes back a hero.
Like something out of a movie.
Total movie. And those experiences shaped him as a leader.
No, absolutely. That time as a hostage in Denkiera, he even fell for the enemy's sister. Talk about a complicated situation.
Wow, I know. Talk about resilience. But he uses it to his advantage. Escaping with help from the Akwamu, that's strategy.
Absolutely. And those Akwamu alliances are going to be huge for the Ashanti, especially their military.
Okay, we have to come back to that. But for now, let's talk about something really unique about the Ashanti matrilineal succession.
Oh, it's fascinating. So different from most kingdoms.
So the throne doesn't automatically go to the king's eldest son.
Nope. Instead, it passes through the mother's side of the family.
Wow, so different. How did that even work?
So when Osei Tutu came to power, he was chosen by a council, not just direct inheritance. And this system, it had massive implications for their stability.
I can see that. Having a clear line of succession, even if it's not the typical line, would stop a lot of problems.
Exactly. Imagine a king dies in battle, not uncommon in those times.
Right.
Instead of chaos, the Ashanti system ensured a smooth transition. A brother or nephew, already a seasoned leader, would be ready to take over immediately.
That is some serious foresight. They were thinking long term.
Absolutely. They understood that stability, especially at the top, was crucial for their success.
Yeah, that's amazing, thinking ahead like that. But let's talk about something else really cool, the golden stool. Now, this wasn't just some fancy chair, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
It had some serious spiritual importance for the Ashanti.
You got it. The golden stool, or Sikadawa Kofi, that was its real name. It wasn't just about power, like a king's crown.
Right.
It was like the soul of the whole nation. And to get how important it was, we got to talk about this guy, Kofi Inori. He was Osei Tutu's advisor.
Okay, so he's the brains behind the throne.
Kinda. But he wasn't just a strategist. He was a powerful priest, too.
Whoa, so he understood both the political and the spiritual side of things.
Exactly. He knew how to make things happen in both worlds. And, get this, the story goes that Inori, he summoned the golden stool from the sky.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah. During this big meeting of all the Ashanti chiefs, boom, it just came down from the heavens and landed right on Osei Tutu's lap.
Talk about an entrance. That's got to be one way to make sure everyone knows you're in charge.
Right. It's like, okay, I think the heavens have spoken.
Totally. So it wasn't just Osei Tutu saying, I'm the king. It was like a message from above.
Exactly. Divine right, chosen by the spirits, the whole deal. The golden stool just appearing like that, it was a sign. A big one.
I bet. It's like you can't argue with that. So this golden stool did it. Were there like special rituals or something, especially with a new king?
Absolutely. Their coronation was super tied to the golden stool. But here's the kicker. The new king couldn't even touch it.
What? Seriously, how'd that work?
They'd literally lift the new king up and lower him over the stool 3 times, never actually touching it.
Wow, that's intense. What was the meaning behind that?
It was symbolic, showing they were connected to their ancestors and all that. Plus, all that responsibility being the leader, that was a heavy weight.
That's deep.
Yeah.
No pun intended. It really puts into perspective why the British demanding to sit on it later caused so much trouble.
Oh, yeah. Huge disrespect. It wasn't just about the king. It was about disrespecting everything the Ashanti believed in.
Right, like the whole heart of their culture. But hey, let's talk about how they defended all this, their culture, their empire, because their army was seriously impressive.
Oh yeah, they were a force to be reckoned with. And remember those Akwamu allies we talked about?
Right, Ose Tutu's escape buddies.
Those guys. They were crucial. They had something special. They knew about guns.
Oh, that's right, so they brought firepower to the party.
Exactly. Ose Tutu saw how powerful guns could be, and he made sure the Ashanti army knew how to use them.
So they were smart, they used their alliances to bring in new tech.
Exactly. They weren't afraid to learn and adapt. But they also held on to their traditional skills and tactics.
The best of both worlds. So what did this Ashanti army look like on the battlefield? Was it just a bunch of guys with swords? Or were they more organized?
Oh, they were way more organized than that.
Yeah.
They had this super sophisticated system, 6 main divisions, all divided into smaller, specialized groups. They had scouts, the best hunters, to spy on the enemy and learn the land.
Smart. So they knew what they were walking into.
Exactly. And then there were guards for the king, others for the front and back, groups for flanking. They had it all.
Wow, they really thought of everything. No wonder they were so successful. It was like a well-oiled machine, this army.
Totally. And they had this saying that really captures their warrior spirit. If you kill 1,000, 1,000 more will appear.
Chills. Imagine hearing that as your enemy. Talk about intimidating. It's like they're saying, bring it on, we're not backing down.
That's exactly it. That unwavering spirit, that refusal to give up, it's a big part of what made them so powerful.
It's like a mix of discipline, organization, and this unshakable belief in themselves and what they were fighting for.
Exactly. And all of that would be tested like never before when a new player entered the scene, the British Empire.
Oh man, here comes the clash of titans. The Ashanti, this powerful African empire with all their gold and military might versus the British Empire, this global superpower. It's hard to imagine what it must have been like back then. The Ashanti Empire, this powerful force in Africa, going head-to-head with the British Empire.
It was a clash of worlds, really.
Totally. But one thing's for sure, the Ashanti weren't going to back down easily.
Not at all. They had their traditions, their beliefs, everything to fight for.
And leading the charge, the legendary Asante Wa. Talk about a legend. She was the queen mother, right?
That's right, of Agisu.
Yeah.
And remember, in Ashanti society, lineage and power went through the mother's side. So she was already a big deal.
Right. They valued women in leadership, especially during tough times.
Exactly. So when the British demanded to sit on the golden stool, that ultimate symbol for the Ashanti, a lot of the male chiefs were unsure about fighting another war. They'd seen what the British could do.
Heavy decision to make. War is never easy.
Right. But Yaa Asantewaa, she wasn't having it. She knew how serious this was. And her response, wow. She gave this speech. It's still famous today.
That's the one everyone quotes, right? If the men won't fight.
Yes. If the men of Asante will not go forward, then we, the women, will. We will fight till the last of us falls on the battlefield. Powerful stuff.
Chills. Seriously. You can practically hear the fire in her voice. She wasn't just inspiring people, she was calling them out.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was like she woke everyone up, reminded them what they were fighting for, their freedom, their culture, their very identity. And she didn't just talk the talk, she walked the walk.
What do you mean?
Yaa Asantewaa, she actually led troops against the British.
Get out of here. No way. So she was a true warrior queen, not just symbolic. So how'd that go? What did the resistance look like?
They went all in. Under Yaa Asantewaa's command, they laid siege to Kumasi, where the British were holed up.
Bold move.
It was. Cut off their supplies, messed with their communication.
Yeah.
They had those British forces trapped for months.
Wow, that's incredible. They were really giving it their all. But even with Yaa Asantewaa leading and all that, the British had a lot of advantages, right? Their technology, their weapons.
Sadly, yeah. They had more firepower, more people. They were able to break the siege eventually. It was a huge loss for the Ashanti. Yaa Asantewaa was captured, sent into exile.
That's so sad to hear. But her story, it didn't end there, did it? People still look up to her, even today.
Oh, absolutely. Yaa Asantewaa, she became this icon of resistance. Her courage, her refusal to back down, it still resonates with people fighting for their own freedom all over the world.
She showed the world what it means to stand up for what you believe in. It's a powerful legacy. Speaking of powerful legacies, let's switch gears a bit and talk about something else amazing about the Ashanti. Their wealth. I mean, we mentioned the gold, but how did they become so wealthy?
Well, remember how we talked about the Ashanti coming from a long line of successful empires in West Africa? Like ancient Ghana, the Ouagadougou Empire? They were rolling in gold, too.
It's like they inherited that legacy of success, huh?
Exactly. And they took it even further. Gold was central to everything for them. Their economy, their diplomacy, their art. It was everywhere.
Wow, so it wasn't just about, like, having shiny stuff. It was about power, influence, and even culture.
Right. They used it to fund their armies, make alliances, and of course there was the artistry. They decorated everything with gold.